Right, here is the Tzemach Tzedek said three things. Huh? Hello? The Tzemach Tzedek listed three things by virtue of which he was successful in the rabbinical convention in 1843. What happened over there? There's very interesting stories, by the way, to tell him. Maybe I'll tell one of these stories. So I had another story in mind, but okay. There were big, in the time of the Tsar, so there were these big, they forced them to make these big rabbinical conventions. And usually what the Tsar wanted to do was to somehow or other weaken Judaism. One of the main ways was that every rabbi had to have a degree from university. And they would introduce the other influences from the church, from this into the education of the Jewish people to weaken Judaism. And there were also, but if they didn't listen to the government, then the repercussions would be very, very severe, very severe. And the Tsar knew how to make repercussions. They made all these pogroms and terrible things. So therefore, all of the rabbis that were there were very intimidated, and justly so. And the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Rebbe of Chabad, not only did he have to stand firm, but he also had to convince the others to stand firm. And not only that, he had to show somehow or other to convince the government to go down to this. So he succeeded. He succeeded. And he said, I succeeded because of the virtue of three things. Listen to this. One of the three things that he said was the merit that he had, that he spent 32,000 hours laboring over the Alter Rebbe, who was his grandfather, the Alter Rebbe's discourses. That's what we learned in the morning in Likutei Torah. 32,000 hours he went over these discourses in the span of 30 years from, what is it? 5564, which means 5564 and 5 to 5594. So that was 1843. This was like from about 1810, something like that. That he, from 1810 until while the Alter Rebbe was still alive. The Alter Rebbe died in, what was it, 1813. He died when after Napoleon conquered Russia. So he was running away from Napoleon, and at that time he died. So and then the second Rebbe took over. So all this time, the Tzemach Tzedek, his grandson, was working on the Maimorim that his father said. In these years, he worked on it for 30 years. In other words, 20, whatever of those years was after the Rebbe passed away, the grandfather passed away. Then in 1804, right, he designated a certain period to study the Alter Rebbe's discourses, and then he began on their publication. So here it goes. So he started learning from 1804, and in 1834, which this was like 20 years after the Alter Rebbe passed away, then he started publishing them. So he spent 32,000 hours working on the discourses of his. He wanted every word to be exact and everything. Okay, that's today. Now let's do tomorrow, Shabbos. My grandfather said that what is hitbonanut? What does it mean to contemplate God? A very essential feature of Chabad Hasidut is what's called hitbonanut. Hitbonanut means to contemplate. And that's basically the purpose of all the writings of the Rebbes of Chabad, is to contemplate God. Okay, now if you want to contemplate God, it's not the same thing as meditation. Meditation can be on a thing which doesn't really mean anything to you whatsoever. Meditate on these four letters, meditate on, your navel or whatever it is. Could be things that have no meaning to you, but you're just concentrating and cutting out the rest of the world. That's what meditation is. Contemplation means usually answering a question, something that's very important to you, and you think about it, and it's a question in your mind, and you think about it and try to find the answer. For instance, God is creating me and I don't feel it. How can it be that God is creating me and I don't feel it? That's a question, right? Does it really, you really want to find the answer to that question? Yeah, I would like to. So you see that the Rebbe's in Chabad, they ask that same question. But in order for you to really feel it, it can't be just, that he got the answer, intellectual. You have to feel it in your heart. You're being created. It says, how can you really contemplate? There were Hasidim that used to contemplate. They used to do hitbonenut for hours, hours. There were some of them that they could sit and think about one idea for like 3-4 hours. It says, how could they contemplate on a subject is that sometimes these ideas are also very difficult to comprehend. So the answer is, what's the secret of hitbonenut, of contemplation? If it's very important to you. If the thing is of deep personal concern, then you will come to understand and comprehend it very well. What's the proof? The proof is laws involving women and the ingenious arguments that they can say on their own behalf. You can take a simple woman and say, where's your husband? What did you do on this night? She can come up with deep answers that they're discussed by the great Tanaim, the Amoraim, Gaonim, exceptionally brilliant minds. And the Torah is the Torah of truth. But this woman is very simple. It could be she doesn't know how to read the Talmud at all. It could be a very simple woman intellectually, but how does she get with such genius ideas? Maybe she means this, maybe she means that. But the truth is that when a subject is of deep concern, importance to a person, then even people of weak intellect will come up with very deep and profound concepts of reality. So things that if God is important to you, then to the degree it's important, that's the degree that you can contemplate on the question and try to find an answer, or at least to find a deeper question. And now, story. Story, one moment. Let's turn this off here.